Okay, we having some technical problems kahapon kaya di tuloy interview sana with Angelica Bengtsson ng ating Phil Swedish national team floorballer. Makakasama na po natin siya finally ngayong araw dito po sa pagpapatuloy ng ating conversations. Again, good afternoon, Angelica, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for letting me join.
First of all, again, congratulations sa silver medal na nakuha nyo sa AOFC Cup in Singapore. But let me ask first if kumusta na po kayo dyan sa Cebu? How things go on? You know, you have been here since the last competition held in Singapore last May. And what places have you traveled so far? And as we all know, Cebu has a lot of travel destinations to choose for, especially Kawasan Falls or Mactan Island, Cabotes Island, and of course Magellan Cross.
Well, actually, I've been here since March, so I've been here a few months more. And well, yes, I have been traveling a lot in Cebu, especially Cebu. I've also been to Bohol. I rented a motor and drove to Bohol for a few days. And I've also been able to go to Palawan, which is just gorgeous. And I really love it here in Cebu. Like, it's my roots, so I really love it here.
El Nido ba yung sa Palawan, if I could correct?
What?
El Nido ba sa Palawan?
And I went to Coron.
Okay. But even you are currently based now in Cebu, you're still used to do individual training there, whether it is online or face-to-face alongside your teammates from the national team.
Well, actually, I'm not able to have any practice with my teammates in the national team. The Manila base have their practices together, but the rest of like in us based in Europe and Singapore, we mostly have our individual practices.
But most of your time, you spend your quality time with your relatives there in Cebu, and of course, being friends with some of our kababayans there in Cebu. How did you describe the friendship and camaraderie with those who live by in Cebu?
Well, my family is very big, so we're just having a lot of fun and just getting to know each other more and more, and like meeting the rest of my family, getting new friends. So everybody's super, super nice to me, and it's a very nice experience.
Okay, so recently you have been recognized by the local government of Karkar Cebu as one of the outstanding citizens there in the field of sports. And what a surprise that you are becoming a name for itself in the sporting community here in Karkar. I see we saw a picture of you posted on the Facebook page of PFA na awak mo yung floorball stick during the ceremony.
Oh yeah, it was a very big surprise for me because I actually never thought that I would get recognized for my achievements. So it was a big appreciation for me to be noticed by the Gifts organization and the Sir Mayor Patrick. So yeah, it was a very big opportunity, and that's just so much love for my city.
Let's talk about your beginnings first. So, Angelica, why did you start doing floorball? How did it start? How do you choose it? A part of it, what are the sports that you have been tried, and who inspires you doing this?
Well, I actually started playing floorball when I was 6 years old. So I was very little, I was very small. And the one who actually got me into the sport was my older brother, Vincent, because he was a player also. He's 2 years older than me. And but after that, like the one who really got me engaged in the national team and really kept me continue playing is the head coach of the Philippine national team, the Noel Johansson, and he's actually Filipino by birth, but based in Sweden. And yeah, so he's the one who really got me to stick with floorball and really get my love for floorball to be even stronger. And but the other sports that I've been playing is I played soccer for many years, and I actually when I was younger, I actually qualified for the regionals team. I was representing my region in soccer back in Sweden. And I also played a lot of martial arts. I started doing martial arts when I was 6 years old. I still do it. And in karate, I was able to actually, I won a medal in the Swedish national championships. So I do a lot of sports.
Sports-minded talaga si Angelica. But your brother nga pala is currently playing in the floorball club or still
No,
playing?
he's not playing anymore. He quit a few years ago.
Okay, so what is your position in floorball and how does it important to you in your role as a player and earning respect with your teammates as well?
Well, I'm a defender. So to be a defender, you really need to be strong, calm, and to have like a big view of the court. And for me, it's important because I really like to be the last player that the opponents need to get past by before they can meet my goalkeeper. So I'm kind of like the last defense. And I really like that part because I can really like show that I'm able to stop. And I know that a lot of players that I met, they think it's very hard to come up against me, and like when they try to score because usually they won't. And so because you need to be physical, and I'm very strong. I'm a strong defender. So because of my like background in other sports also, so I have a lot of like experience from that I can put in my floorball, and really like that's why it's so important for me to be a defender, so I can really support my team the best way.
Okay, did you also competed first at the local competitions there in Sweden and how did it impress that the PFA through Coach Noel Johansson have contacted you for an invite to be part of the national team itself? Tumaan ba kayo doon sa tryouts before?
Well, I had local competitions in Sweden since I was 6 years old. We always have games every weekend, always playing. And the person who contacted me was directly from PFA, Martin Helg. He was actually the person who was like leading the women's team back in 2018, and he and Noel was helping each other, and he set up a meeting with Noel Alm for me so I could meet him, and Noel could tell me all about the floorball in the Philippines and give me more like this is what we are now and this is what we want to become, and we want you to be a part of it and everything. So I was very happy and very nervous in the beginning. It was terrifying in a good way.
Angelica's first international competition was at 2018 at the age of 16, which is the AOFC Cup in Singapore, which was won the silver medal there this year. What was your first memorable experience as part of the national team? And it is your dream fulfilled to represent the homeland because you truly have a rich Filipino roots despite living in Sweden?
Yeah, so uh, dream to be able to take a chance to represent the Philippines in somehow. But when I was 16 and before I heard anything about floorball, I never knew how I'm gonna do it. But when this opportunity was presented for me, it was obvious for me to like to take this and go back to my roots in another way, and learn about the culture in another way. And then spending like what I know of with my family and stuff. So it was very fulfilling to be able to represent the country, and because I really do have deep roots here in Philippines. Since I was a kid, I always came here once a year and spent a few months in the Philippines to learn the culture, to connect with my relatives and everything. So for this was like my way to say thank you and to give back to the country that has given me so much love for all the years.
Did you have teammates that you have close to you, especially major part of the team is comprising of Filipinas who are based abroad, like for example, team captain Jade Rivera, who is living and born and raised in Singapore, and of course, do not forget the learnings that you are implied in being part of the national team?
Well, I'm actually very close to all the players because I've been here for since the beginning in the team. Uh, and it gave me, because I was one of the first players in the team, was I was able to connect with the local players here in Manila. I was able to connect with the players from Singapore also from the very first beginning. So I have made time friends for the rest of my life. And and then when every time it comes a new player, I'm able to really connect with them, try to really connect to them and make them a part of our family as good as possible. And so yes, I really do have friends in the team for the rest of my life, and we're very close to everybody.
And of course, do not forget the last time that Floorball participated in the SEA Games calendar sports was in 2019, which was held in Los Baños, Laguna. Have you amazed with a kind of a good crowd cheering for you in every games, even your relatives watching it? Not to mention the added pressure because it is held in our country, so we expected a top competition back in 2019. I think you won fourth place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we came in fourth place. We lost in the for the bronze with on sudden death. So it was a hard loss for us, but like just the energy to be able to represent the country in your country is just amazing. Like still today, when I think back of it, and me and my teammates think back of the events that of SEA Games 2019, we still get teared up in our eyes, and because the crowd, especially the crowd, how Filipino gets so involved in the sport by just sharing. They don't know the people that came to that game. They don't know anything about floorball, most of them, if they're not our relatives. So they would not know anything, and they will ask questions and they will share because it's a very fast-paced game. So there's a lot of things happening all the time, and the energy they gave us was just so amazing. So when we lost, it breaks our heart to lose, but we know that because even if we lost, we know that they still love us and they still really support us, and they gave us the energy to just okay, we're gonna come back, we're gonna show you next time, we're gonna go for the gold and go further to take home the medal for the country. So it was just amazing.
For how many years that you have been part of the national team, have you seen any improvements and progress when it comes to the training, the preparation, and of course earning the podium finish that we wanted to deserve? Unfortunately, we didn't got the gold, but at least we have also a silver medal to be back with.
Yeah. So like our development has been improvements in every part. It's a big difference since 2018. My first competition in 2018, we would lose games with 0 goals against us, and our goals back then was like first to win the 10 minutes, not to let the opponent score, and then to try to win one period, and then 2 periods, and then try to win the whole game. That's our goal before. Today, our goal is to take the gold, to be the best country in floorball in Asia, and then to be like the other, to be the best outside country in the whole floorball world. Because like the Northern Europe, it's like they're the best in floorball. So our goal is to be the best outside country from the Northern Europe in the beginning. That's our step. But first, we need to be the best in Asia. So that's our goal now. So it's a very different, uh, if you compare the goals before then and compared to now, it's a big difference. And it's just awesome how far we have come in just 4 years.
Okay, during the pandemic, Angelica, you stay in Sweden. Did you manage to do home or online training or continuous training, but with extra precautions to prevent the spread of COVID?
Well, in Sweden, we were actually able to practice with the team at all times, but with very strict precautions. So if any of us would show any symptoms or we spend time with someone with symptoms, they will cancel all their practices for like 2 weeks to be sure that we won't spread COVID. Even in case we did not have COVID, we're not allowed to. Even if it shows by doing tests that we did not have COVID, we're still allowed to participate because we don't want to, just in case, because their rules, we need to be strict and be very precaution about the sickness. So we were still able to practice with the team a few times a week, and otherwise it was a lot of practicing at home by yourself, a lot of physical training. So when you get back, you can just pick up the stick and start playing, just the stick training, but you have the physical practice and training already.
And then there was a AOFC Cup, which was held in Singapore last May. You have some training there in Sweden, which is considered as one of the top countries when it regards to floorball. Could you share to us how do you prepare for this, despite lack of resources? You have been all out in your training along with your teammates as well.
Yes, we have, of course, before a big competition like AOFC, we always have the team gathering to have some practices before. But it's because it's hard because we're spread all over the world. And we also, so to meet and have this very important practice a lot of times, we would get a schedule by our coach about this is what you're gonna do this month, and the next month you're gonna do these exercises. So it's very strict. And on that, we also have to practice in our team, which for me, I was practicing with my teammates in my club team. We would practice 3 to 4 days a week. And on that, I also need to go to the gym and practice to build muscles, to prevent injuries and everything. So like every day, you can find me training 5 to 6 hours every day for a whole week.
In the recent AOFC Cup, as I mentioned, the team finished with a silver medal, bowing to Singapore, which is the host. This is actually the best finish thus far in the competition. But before that, you have been undefeated in most of the matches in the preliminary round. Can you share to us your observations and how do you see it positively, the silver medal finish of our Filipinas national team?
Well, we were actually undefeated the whole tournament until the finals. And we actually met before the game before the finals. We actually competed against Singapore. And that game we won with 3-2 in scores. But unfortunately, when it came to the finals, we lost 8 players because of COVID. They got sick by COVID, so they're not allowed to play anymore. And so we're short of 8 players in the finals. But we're still there trying our best, like pouring our hearts out in the game, like yeah, giving all of us 100%. So unfortunately, we weren't able to win the gold as we hoped for. But for us, that's totally fine because we got this silver to come back to the Philippines with, and this amazing development that we have made for these years. So it was just amazing.
As Jade told in the PFA Floorball conference last week or 2 weeks ago, what was your recipe for success for the national team? Tama ka nga, by losing some players because of COVID in the finals, you managed to win a silver medal. What are you feeling that after years of hard work, you finally earned the top finish that we wanted for us, our countrymen?
For me, actually, it was kind of unbelievable because since I've been there from the beginning and then finally winning the medal for the country, it was just I can't even describe it because just was the best gift I could give myself and the country and my teammates. Even if even if we were tested in some hard ways as a team, we're still strong enough to like show people that we're here. Like Philippines, we are gonna be the best. And this is just like for us, it gave us a lot of confidence for the upcoming competitions. And it's a big motivation for us to be able to come back as a team with no COVID and just show everybody that we actually are gonna be the country that's the best in floorball in Asia.
And do not forget the moral support being given by the parents, the relatives, and even friends who either came from the venue in Singapore and watch online. Gaining a lot of support is the nicest way to cherish on for good for the national team, which is considered as one of the best in Asia. It helps raise the bar of competitive side of our kababayans there.
Yeah, like we would have not come anywhere without the support of our fans and our parents, relatives, and friends. They're like the seventh player on the court for us. They gave us so much strength, and if we fall down, we know they're gonna be there to catch us and push us up again and fight more. So no, we're not the Laban family. We're not the Philippine national team in floorball without them, because none of us would have been here, and we all know that without them, yeah, it's not going to be the same without them. And it's very important because they support in so many ways that it's not, you can't even imagine, like all the support we get from them at all times.
Before we edit to other questions, I'd just like to ask if natikman mo na ba yung mga Filipino food dyan sa Cebu? And what did you actually learn the Cebuano language as well?
I understand Bisaya, but I still have a hard time speaking. So I'm still like trying to win over myself in that part to not be afraid to speak, because that's my problem at the moment, is that I'm afraid to try to speak yet still. But I understand.
And of course, the food, especially lechon karkar.
Mm. Yeah, our lechon is the best. And also the chicharon.
All
It's
right.
very good.
Yun. Cebu has a lot of potential of having a floorball club. Are you willing to help with the BFA in setting up this for the development of floorball, not just solely in Metro Manila, but in other areas as well? I remember before the conversation, you told that Cebu has also a floorball club, but it stopped working because of the pandemic.
Yes, as I know, it stopped. They stopped the club because of the pandemic, and which is very understandable because the COVID and the pandemic affected the whole world in many bad ways. And so, actually, for me, I'm very up for it to spread the sport in the whole country, especially for me in Cebu. My dream is someday in the future that I'm able to build my own club here in Cebu and spread the sport and make my club the best. Because competitions for me is like I live for it.
What are the suggestions, Angelica? You are coming up and putting up a solid program of the national team, being one of the veterans of the national team, and up until the grassroots, because floorball, as we observe, is a fast rising but underrated sport, unlike other ball sports like basketball and volleyball, were popular nowadays, and you see in every court that there is a basketball game or a volleyball game there in their respective places.
Yeah, so we have a few ball sports to compete with. We really do. But we also know that when people see our sport and can really experience on the place, it's it's actually very convincing, and like people really get to enjoy it in a way that basketball, and it's similar to basketball, but it actually, like for me, when I see the crowd cheering in floorball in during SEA games compared to the volleyball, it was more intense. So like what I can suggest is like what I can do is try to convince people to start watching floorball a little bit and show the sport for the kids. And because the future of floorball is in the kids, need to show the kids how this sport can be, how fun it can be and everything. Because the beautiful thing about floorball is that it doesn't matter if you're 2 meters tall or you're 140. because you don't have any, like, if you're too media, you don't have it, like, you're not going to be better than the person who's shorter. You don't have any, um I don't know the word for it at the moment, but it doesn't matter the size. As long as you know how to handle a stick and you have the technique and you can run, you can become the best player in the whole world in floorball.
And of course, do not forget the grassroots clinics for our kids who wanted to try out floorball. And several clubs have also established, including one in Muntinlupa, which is posted by PFA recently.
Yeah, so there was a lot of kids there trying out, and if, like, if you're really interested in, like, trying out floorball, you can always check PFA's website. They have a lot of information, contact information, if you're interested to really try it out and want to show the kids in your area about the sport.
Okay, so what's next for the national team? I think floorball is already included as a Category 2 sport in the Southeast Asian Games in Cambodia in 2023. Have you prepared early for the SEA Games? Are we gonna expect more competitions, including the one in February, and training camps line up in the coming months, either locally or abroad, depending on the situation, either COVID or monkeypox?
Yeah, the information I know at the moment is about the big international games we have. So I know that the men team are preparing for the World Cup now in November in Switzerland. And for us women, it's, as I said, in February, we have the World Cup qualifications. In May, SEA Games. But in November, hopefully, we are going to be able to play the Asian Indoor Martial Art Games. Similar to SEA Games, but it's actually much bigger because it involves the whole Asia. And then we have, which is in Thailand in November. And then hopefully, if we qualify for the championships, we're gonna play that in December. So 2023 is a very busy year for us in floorball.
Is floorball also included in the Asian Games in China?
It's in Thailand. So yeah, it's included in Thailand.
Asian Games in 2023, 20 was supposed to schedule. I'm referring to the Asian Games itself, not the Asian Indoor Martial Arts Games. The Asian Games will be held in September 2023. Is
Okay, that game, I don't think floorball is involved in that. All I know is that floorball is involved in SEA Games and Asian Indoor Games.
Thanks for the clarifications, Angelica. So last question, what are your message to those who are willing to try out floorball? And for those children who wanted to know the sport, wanted to try it, and who knows, they might be part of the national team in the future competitions.
Well, if you find the sport interesting, try to pick it up and like, watch the games, because there's a lot of games showing on YouTube for free. And, like, if you want to really evolve and to in the future be part of the national team, just continue practicing, because all the practice, you will just get better with practice. So yeah, I don't really know, like, just keep working. It worked for me. It works for a lot of people, just to try to pick up that stick and try to just handle the stick with this small ball. And the love develops directly after that.
All right, Angelica, it's a pleasure to have you on our program. But before we let's say your few words before we end, we do our mandatory photo op. So thumbs up po tayo and smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, maraming salamat, Angelica, for joining
Salamat.
in our conversation. I hope your father, Ronald, ba ito or Ronnie?
Ronnie.
Oh, Ronnie. I hope your father, Ronnie, watching this interview, and we will also like to express our gratitude to the Philippine Floorball Association, headed by its president, Sir Ramos, and the one who asked from the marketing department, I forgot her name, for the assistance having Angelica, and for those other players who are willing to be interviewed, including your team captain, Jade Rivera, in the coming days. So as a final saying, it's your turn to say your shout outs and greetings to those who want to thank them in the successful AFC campaign of Team Pilipinas.
Sorry, repeat.
It's your turn to have a closing remarks. Those who want to thank them in the campaign.
Yeah, I would like to thank my coaches. Like, nothing is possible without them, and my parents, because how involved they are in the sport. And I really like to thank PFA for the opportunity to be a part of the national team, and of course my teammates.
Short but simple. But we'd like to express our deep gratitude for having you in this interview, and we look forward to more competitions and more challenge, more achievements to come for our national team. 2023 will be a busy year for all of them, and we'll be praying and cheering for you in the rest of the competitions. And we hope to have you invite you in the coming days to talk about more about your global career and the observations in the competitions that you wanted to join. Basta i-message nyo na lang po kami at sasagutin kita. Syempre.
Absolutely.
All right, Angelica, thank you so much for joining us, and God bless you, more power, and keep safe. Amping mo diya. Bye!
Bye.